That was Emerson Snow with Our Home, and welcome back. You're watching 1700 here on Channel 31, and we're joined in the studio with Tess Guthrie.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Let's continue our little chat.
Yes, our little chat before we sort of spoke a bit about Tess's kind of history and how it's all amounted to today, which is where we're at now. But the question I sort of want to ask is, what was the pivotal moment after your 5-year hiatus to return to, not only return to music, but to release your first single?
Oh wow, gosh. Well, I remember we were doing a fundraiser for the International Women's Development Agency. Like me and my mates had organised one like kind of earlier last year on International Women's Day, and I kind of realised that there was stuff that I really wanted to talk about, and I'd kind of got to a point with my like playing random stuff in my room that I wanted to share it, and I think I'd also kind of reduced some of those psychological barriers for myself. Like for instance with electric guitar, I think in the past I had thought that kind of wasn't for me, and that usually like men would kind of play that, and like I'm not good enough like to do something like that, and then I kind of realised it's a guitar like any other guitar. So I think I got past those hurdles, and I just kind of wanted to give it a crack, you know. So yeah,
that's great. And your first single, Wuto, yeah. Yep. It was released on the 22nd of March, and stands for Were You the One?
Yep.
Are you able to explain, first of all, kind of like the title and the meaning behind this song?
Yeah, I mean, the title came from the fact that like I was kind of too embarrassed to call it Were You the One, because for some reason it sounded lame to me. I don't know why I put the lyrics in there so often, but you know, and so I put it onto like Wuto in my phone, and then you know, sent it to the band and stuff, and I think it's just been kind of referred to as Wuto like internally ever since. And so then we went to release it, it was like, well, let's just make the internal the external. But I guess
I love it.
Oh, thanks.
It's great.
Yeah, glad you're into it.
Do you think that the mix between like personal experience with your like choosing lyrics, like how do you kind of balance between choosing kind of like your personal experiences and like more of like the political messaging that you kind of want to portray? Do you think that there's some like parallels with that? Like I feel like there obviously would be, but...
Oh, totally. I love that whole like the personal is the political quote as well, and I feel like sometimes when you're talking about your own experiences, particularly if they're kind of a bit raw for you, you can often kind of be relating to other people's experiences as well, and sometimes if you get like honest enough with yourself, I think it can be kind of powerful in that way. But in terms of like the kind of content of songs, there's definitely been some songs where I've wanted to say a particular thing, like in one of my songs called Fairy Lights, which is about essentially rape culture, but then in songs like Wuto, it's a lot more just talking about like I guess relationships and emotions and those kind of internal conflicts that are a bit less on the political side and more on the emotional side. So I guess there's kind of both.
And you have a single launch coming up. May 30th is when it starts in Sydney, and it's going to go all the way till July the 18th in Melbourne. What can the audience expect? Are there any new releases? What are you going to be doing?
Like in the future, or just...
well, during your tour.
Oh, during the tour. Oh, man. Just like a lot of me having a great time. I'm extremely excited about this, but I've got a couple of shows in Sydney and then Gold Coast and Brisbane, then coming back down to Melbourne, and I'm extremely excited to go and visit those cities, but I think definitely the one that I'm most excited for is the Gasso in Melbourne on the 18th of July. I think being able to play to, you know, all the people that I love, and with this band that I'm like so excited about, and I think the energy will be really great by that. So
and I love how it's called the Wuto, Wuto tour.
Couldn't resist that. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a bit lame, but like
no, I think it's great. Sort of an interesting question for vocalists as well. When did you sort of realize that you had this very solid and dramatic and really, I guess, charismatic voice that you really delivered well in the Wuto song? I was quite surprised, to be honest, because I wasn't really sure what I was about to listen to, but then the amount of character and colour through the vocals really came through, even on the first listen. So Is it something, is this sort of the way you've approached previous music, or was this something you kind of like turned up the dial on? Like what was this all
Such
about?
an interesting question. Yeah, I think when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of blues music, so I used to kind of have a much deeper voice, and then it was only in like VCE doing like classical voice that I was like, oh my god, what if I can sing higher and it's not a bad thing, and maybe you can use that as a tool as well. So I think it's kind of once again only been like since kind of last year when I sort of got back into stuff that I started using that as a tool rather than shying away from it.
Right.
So, yeah.
It was really effective, really lovely.
Thank you.
And definitely everyone should give it a listen. It's super. Nice.
Also, where can we find you on social media? On where can we listen to music? Where can we find you?
If you just type in like my name, like
TESS.
yeah, like that in Spotify, sure, whatever music platforms you like should do the trick. Or I think all the like Insta and Facebook stuff is Tess Guthrie Music. So love to see you there.
Great, awesome. Catch you on the socials. Catch us on our socials as well at Sin1700. That's all now with Tess Guthrie, unfortunately, but it's lovely to have you on the show to speak all things music, Australian music. And we'll be back after these clips.